my proposal for an integrity project for the ACM's promoting ethics in the profession is in relation to what would coders do in ethical gray areas as new questions come up with what's appropriate and what's inappropriate with what to do. And there are the majority of coders that would not write unethical sources, right? But there is going to be this small percentage of questionable areas where they may not feel responsibility or these considerations may not have been put into place. And so, most are going to feel a necessity in putting into place the ethical implications of code. It's said that only 6% feel that they have no obligation. And I think that this 6% is what needs to really be honed in on and paid attention to. And then maybe we can refocus this using different user experience ideals that stem from cognitive psychology, which can potentially go into what environment are these coders in, what is the reason behind their lack of belief, is it personal values that we can do unbiased testing for. And this can really strengthen ethics and integrity in general by safeguarding and assuring that there is a large percentage and the vast majority of coders that are taking this seriously and being responsible and taking all precautions necessary. When they do find a gray area, there could maybe be a more formal and universal way of finding something to report this, in a sense, that could fill in the blanks of the ethical code. And I'm sure there is some sort of system that's already in place to help with this. Although, as new technologies emerge and as it's more immersed in our day-to-day life, as smart businesses and smart homes are all becoming nearly universal and a complete normality in daily life, to pay attention to the biases that are created. For example, Google's auto typing, they completely took out pronouns because it was easier to just not code for it at all instead of having to outcode the biases that were created. For example, it would mention a trade labor job that is typically associated with males, although would not use any male pronouns. And later, these, beta Google typing would propose that it should be a male pronoun. So they just did away with it entirely, and that was released in 2018. So there was never any bias issues, because they decided not to code for it. And potentially in the future, in finding a way to report for these gray areas, there could be solutions. But I think machine learning also needs to be taken into account in that separation between artificial intelligence and machine learning. And a lot of ethical auditing needs to occur with machine learning to make sure that it is prevented before it starts to teach itself. And that way, that small 6% of unethical coders who happens to, this is just a small theory, small idea. If you have a 6% of unethical coders who teach some machine learning, and then it can become a real domino effect there and take off on its own once machine learning begins to take place. So I think a huge focus is, number one, the gray areas in ethical coding and a good way of auditing that. And then number two, auditing machine learning and having good ethical standpoints there and making sure that there is a lack of biases So as these new softwares come into place, everything is able to keep up and flow additionally with that. And that is the goal for my proposal for an integrity project in relation to ACM.